Okay, everybody, welcome. Mike here. I just showed that the hour turned over, so punctual like we always try to be. So, yeah, welcome to Lab this week. You see the title there, Rob's Simple Money Making Script when talking to sellers. Great topic today, right? It's one that comes in quite a bit. People tend to, especially newer investors, tend to have this fear of, they start generating leads, and they've got leads coming into the business. They've got potential seller leads, and then they just say, I don't know what to say. I don't know how these conversations are going to go. So, want to put you a little bit at ease. Want to give you a very simple script to follow. This is one that Rob has dialed in and used for about the past decade or longer, something like that. So, as we go through it, what you are going to realize is it is very simple, right? We're going to go through a couple questions. I'll kind of get into the psychology behind it. They're very, very simple statements, but they're really effective. All right, and so don't worry. Well, I tell you what, if you want to try and write fast today, that's fine. I'm going to throw quite a few, different script lines up through the slides. But know that these are always, they always get recorded and we upload them into the classroom. So when I go live into FreedomSoft, I'll show you where we're going to park them so that you can come back and find them. So if you want to just sit back and listen today, that would be just fine. I will try and have the recording up into the classroom by later on today or tomorrow. So either way, if you feel like writing and you want to scribble down some notes as the slides come up, that's fine. Or know that we're recording. If you have any questions along the way, hit me in the questions box. Try and get to as many of those as I can. And as always, we'll keep this to 60 minutes so we don't take up too much of anybody's day. So here we go. I'm going to jump into this script. So what you say matters. We know that, right? You know that. Not just from a well, let me just go into the slides here, but into the different bullet points. This is a really important key, and this is why I'm starting with it. Real estate's not a real estate business, right? At the end of the day, real estate is just the commodity that we buy and sell. It's a people business like every other business, okay? And so this script, as I start to sort of unpack it here, is going to be let's see, Sharon just chimed in, much better every recorded for review. Yep, absolutely, Sharon. Yeah, recording it so you can go back later and just pause the video and you'll be able to take down all the notes and write these questions in the script down. So, but it's a people business like every other business, right? Real estate's the commodity. If you're buying and selling cars, no different. It's a people business. We're buying and selling real estate. It's a people business. So what this script does is it's a better way to introduce ourselves. And it's just a great way to open up conversation with people, right? At the end of the day, negotiating with a potential seller is one human being talking to another human being. Now, if you're working with like buying from a couple, there may be two other people on the other end of the line. But at the end of the day, this is a people-to-people to business. You all know that, but sometimes we forget it. Right? We think real estate's our business. It's real estate. No, it's not. That's just like I said, the commodity that we buy and sell. So this is going to be a people-focused script, right? This is, whether you are in real estate or know anything about real estate or not, everybody would agree to this. What we say matters. Can make or break our level of success, right? If you if you give, say, 25 leads to somebody who doesn't have a well-thought-out script and say, go, see if you can find any deals in these 25 leads, they're going to struggle with it. If you give it to somebody else who has a good script in place and who has a little bit of background and experience, they will likely be able to pull a deal or two out of there, right? Now, again, it depends on the quality of leads, that kind of thing, but you understand the point, right? It matters that we get good at what we say, that we get good on the phone, and then our team, if you've got somebody else on the phone doing negotiating for you, it matters that they get good at this. And so what we want to do is really shorten the learning curve between somebody who's either brand new or somebody who's struggling on the phone to help them improve at a very quick rate. And that's what this script is designed to do. It's very simple to follow, and it's also very effective. So here we go. Nothing that I'm going to share today is rocket science, but there is some thought behind it that we're going to talk about, okay? That's what's cool about this training topic today is this is something anybody could do. This is a script that's so simple that you could pull a VA into your business, and I believe have them very competent on the phone having conversations with sellers in less than 10 phone calls would be my gut feeling. So here's the thing, if you go on and create, feel free to modify this. This is kind of the framework of the one that Rob has used for over a decade now. But, at the end of the day, you want to be you. make it your own. If you want to make some adjustments to it, that's fine. I'm going to give you the framework that we use. But here's the thing with a script, right? We want it to be simple to use and follow. That way, the script becomes the system and you're not people dependent. So if you've got an absolute rock star on the phone who's calling seller leads for you, and they're a part of the team, and that person moves, decides to do something else in life, something happens to them, and your business goes from this really key player on the team all of a sudden isn't there anymore, that's a problem, right? That would be a people-dependent business. What we want is a systems-dependent business, and that's what scripting does. It says this is how we talk to sellers on the phone, this is the script we follow, and now it becomes dependent on the script, and people are going to come and go. That's just the way life works and business works. If you have a solid system in place with a good script, your business will be it'll handle change and adversity much better than one that is people dependent, because people will come and go. All right, got to work 1,000 miles away, right? And you've got to be able to have somebody that's brand new call a hero and still have them be effective, right? So you've got to have, the script has to be so simple to follow and effective, ideally, that you could have somebody on their first day jump on the phone and have a really good shot at getting a deal put together because the script is so simple. All right? Always, 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 right? It's so easy to get into this and to start talking with a seller and thinking about the deal we want, the potential money on the line. Ultimately, if you want to be successful at this, it's got to be, right? Your mindset has to be to create a win for the person on the other end of the line. Now, in business, we want to create win-wins where it's a good deal for you and it's also a good deal for them. But I'm telling you that you've got to start with your focus on the person on the other end of the line, okay? If they know that the only thing you see are dollar signs, you're going to have a hard time getting deals tied up. I'm not going to say that you won't, ever. But somebody will be more effective who can get on the phone and get to know that other person, legitimately care and understand about their problem that you're trying to solve, and work together with them to see if you can bring a solution to the table. All right? So the script is going to start out where we're going to get some information on the table that you'll see. There's a very clear reason why we want to get that stuff out right away in the conversation. And then it's very quickly going to move over to a focus on the other person or the person on the other end of the line. So these are the 5 simple words: who, what, how, why, and fair. All right. So again, if you want to jot those down real quick, that's fine. You can always come back to the recording. So we're going to break these down one by one, and we're going to start to unfold this script. All right. Who, what, how, why, and fair. Here we go. Who? You're right. Ring, ring, ring. The other person picks up. Introduce yourself immediately. And in the very first sentence, this is how Rob has always done it. Tell him you're a real estate investor. Right? The script is very simple. Hi, my name is Mike Snyder, and I'm a real estate investor. So you could go in right after that to, you replied. Maybe they had replied to some form of marketing. So that's where this is a framework that you work around, okay? So if this person had received a postcard from you and they called in and left a message, and you call them up and say, hey, this is Mike returning your phone call. As you know, I'm a real estate investor. You got my postcard, all right? The point is, and the key is, get it on the table right up front that you're a real estate investor, all right? This is one of those points, and this, it seems so obvious and so easy, which it is, but sometimes people try to hide this in the investment world. We're not sure why. It's just more effective to be upfront, right? Anytime you're on the phone, we all know this to be true. People read nonverbal cues even more than we read the verbal cues. So when you talk through the phone, whether you try to or not, you are communicating nonverbal cues. When you go into a phone call trying to withhold information, whatever that might be, then the person on the other line can read that on the other end of the line, okay? So this is a very upfront script. As you're going to see as we unpack each one of these little lines, it's very simple, but it's upfront, because when we're upfront about it, it puts people at ease. All right? So that's step 1. Hey, my name is Mike, and I'm a real estate investor. Again, you can modify that if they already know something about you based on the marketing piece. But again, this is the framework, okay? Again, the key, get it on the table that you're a real estate investor. what? Quickly tell them that you buy houses, right? But this is where it's really key. Not just any houses. You want to work it into the second line of this script that you buy houses just like theirs. All right? So you got my postcard. As you know, I'm a real estate investor, and I buy houses just like yours in your neighborhood. Okay? So again, it's not so much the exact wording, right? Follow along here. This is the key phrase, just like theirs. So at this stage of the game, they know a couple things about you. They know that you're a real estate investor, and you're not just any real estate investor, right? Subconsciously, you are the right real estate investor. Why? Because you buy houses just like theirs. All right? So simple, but that's the psychology behind it. Everybody's heard of real estate investors, and everybody knows that real estate investors buy houses. You've just narrowed yourself down from the entire group of real estate investors to a specific group who buys houses just like theirs. All right? Really, really key to work that in. And this is the point that I just explained. This communicates that you're not just any investor, you're the right investor. Or the potentially right investor, right? They may not be 100% sold on you yet, but you're one step closer. Because you just said, I buy houses just like yours, right? It implies a couple things. It subconsciously communicates that they're probably talking to the right person. It also communicates that you know something about their property, that you've already done a little bit of research, whether you have or haven't. Pretty irrelevant at this point in time, but I buy houses just like yours. And that's a true statement, right? We're not trying to lie here, but investors, if the house is distressed or not, we buy houses like that. If there's a deal on a house, then we buy them. That's what real estate investors do. So really, it doesn't matter what the condition of the property is in. We buy houses just like that. Over the years, I've bought houses that somebody could have, they were move-in ready, live-in ready. They weren't fully fixed up, but somebody could live there. And then I've bought other ones where it would be a complete health hazard. So, it runs the gamut. So pretty much whatever condition their house is in, I buy houses just like that. Okay? Really, really key statement. How? Right? There's no need to hide it. At this point, okay, we're going to move into really quickly, probably the next thing out of your mouth is how you buy how you buy houses. Because if they're like most people, right, they've got somebody on the phone that they don't know, they're having a conversation, they're looking to sell a property, and so it's just kind of human nature to think, what's the catch? What are they in it for? Are they crooked, right? All these normal things that you think about when you're on the phone with somebody, those are the same things that they're thinking about. Those little voices in the back of your head that come up. All right? So we're going to cut it off. We're just going to get it out on the table, right? They know that now, after this one, I buy houses at a significant discount or on terms. So we've just got 3 of them off the table. They know who you are, right? They've got your name. They know that you're an investor. They have a pretty good idea that you're the right investor because you buy houses just like theirs. And now you just flat out told them, I buy houses at a significant discount or on terms. So again, this diffuses, if you come in with an offer that's low on down the line, right, you're going to see how this all comes together as we get the next few points up here. But we're already out ahead of it, and we're not trying to hide it. Why would we try and hide it? And really the next, you'll see how this comes together because this is slick, right? I buy houses at a significant discount or on terms. So they already know that we don't pay full prices for housing. All right? This is one of the big items that a lot of investors try to hide. Right? I have to hide the fact that I'm trying to buy their property at a discount. And what Rob has figured out over the years is don't hide anything. Just get it on the table. Because the more we're up front, the more we're starting to build trust. We want to build trust very quickly with somebody that we don't know. So how do we do that? We don't withhold anything. This is where those nonverbals come in, right? If they know that you're trying to avoid the fact that you buy houses at a discount, they're going to read it. And when they read that, there's going to be or a level of discomfort, even if they can't exactly put their finger on it. There's going to be a level of discomfort, right? That gut feeling in the person on the other end of the line that says something's just not right about this. And so what this script is designed to do is to just get it all on the table, right? Buy houses at a significant discount. If you've got somebody working on your team, you just tell, our team buys houses at a significant discount or on terms. However you want to word it. So again, this is just the framework, right? But we're going to get this on the table. So tell them that you buy houses at a significant discount. If you're not looking to put terms deals together, which is a training topic for a whole nother day, just tell them you buy houses at a discount. That's how your business works, all right? Get this on the table. And you're going to see that the first part of this script comes out very quickly, right? You want all of this on the table because this is what sets the tone for the rest of your conversation with this potential seller. Why? This is the key one, right? We're in this to make money, okay? They know it, but we're going to get it on the table. Again, this is another one of those statements that diffuses some of the voices in their head that we're going to assume are showing up at this point in the conversation. All right? So we're going to get out ahead of this stuff, and we're going to diffuse the biggest red flags that they could possibly put up. Okay? It's no secret. If you were to just pull somebody off the street and say, have you heard of real estate investors? They would say yes. And if you were to ask them why, is it true that real estate investors are trying to make a profit off real estate? Of course they are, right? So when you get on the phone with this person, this potential seller, and you tell them you're an investor, they already know that this is how you make money, right? They just want to know, at the end of the day, they want to know that you're there to potentially help solve their problem. And then the last one on here, the last word that we went over is fair. And that they're going to get a fair deal, right? That's what people want at the end of the day. So again, we're taking one of the potential roadblocks or hurdles and we're getting it on the table. Now, this is a really key statement, right? And again, you can rework this for your team, but buying houses is how I earn a living, provide for my family, and put food on the table. So what you just did with this statement, right? So buying houses is how our team, is how everybody on our team earns a living, how we provide for our families and put food on the table, right? Very, very simple to modify. But here's what this does, and I'm going to pull up because I wrote it down. If they were thinking that you're a greedy investor, you just squashed it because you're just another human being like they are who's trying to earn a living, provide for their family, and put food on the table. All right? So you just brought yourself down from wherever they thought you were to now this is, right, now they've got a person in you on the other end of the line. See how this is coming together? Right? The reason it's so powerful, and I told you there was some psychology behind this. There is, right? These are very, very simple statements, but the order has been well thought out, and the wording has been well thought out. And the things that we're going to get on the table, right? And again, Rob's been using this for over a decade. And it's been effective for over a decade, because at the end of the day, people are people. So now, they know some information about you, right? Got your name, they know you're an investor. They know what you do. You buy houses or you buy houses just like theirs. They know how you do it. You buy houses at a discount, and now they know why you do it. Because this is your job, this is how you earn a living, and you're just another person that's trying to provide for a family and put food on the table. Okay? Really important that these come out. We like them in this order. Clearly you can move these things around a little bit, but this is the very simple order that we have put these together in. And fair, right? So at this point, you've been upfront, you've been honest, and right, again, we've been talking about it this whole time here. You've likely dismantled some of their knee-jerk assumptions, some of that, that little quiet voice in their head that is telling them to be skeptical about who you are, what you do, and why you're calling. Okay? So we've got a lot of that stuff on the table, and we've met it head on. Again, we're not very far into the conversation, right? We're 3 or 4 sentences in. So we're well under 2 minutes. We're probably under 60 seconds. into the conversation. The stage has been set, right? The seller knows who you are, what you buy, houses just like theirs, why you buy, so you can put food on the table, and how you buy at a significant discount. Right? Here's the thing. I promise to make you a fair offer. So now, what you've just done is establish some trust. You have likely dismantled a lot of the little voices that are yakking in the back of their head about why they shouldn't trust you. All right? So we've made some pretty serious progress here in under 60 seconds. And we worked that in, right? Again, you can change this for a team, right? And as a team, we promise to make you a fair offer. So, again, there's no pressure here. You told them you'd be fair. You've already built some trust with them. You just promised them to make them a fair offer, right? Which, as investors, I expect that you will go through with and do, right? Clearly, there are some people out there who like to use real estate to not make a fair offer, right? But that's not us. So we want to get a fair offer. We really do want to create the win-win in situations. And we promise to make them a fair offer, okay? So now, we haven't said, right, this is really under the radar. They know that they don't have to accept the offer, but they're going to get a fair one. We've also established the expectation that this conversation is leading towards an offer, which is really, really key, right? Because they know who you are, what you do, why you do it, how you do it, and based on this comment right here, they're expecting at some point in the future that you will be giving them an offer, and that's key to set up, right? Because now you can lean back when you get to that point and say, hey, I told you I'd make you a fair offer. Whether you need to buy some more time to run numbers, or whether you just do it right there on the phone. Hey, I told you I'd make a fair offer, and I'll show you how we word that here in just a minute, all right? But those are the 5 words, and that's how they unfold. And again, this happens very, very quickly. So within the first few minutes, at the longest, sometimes under 60 seconds, right? So then what? Because that really, really the core of this training are those 5 words. And what we're trying to do is set the stage for the rest of the conversation, right? What we want to do is, at the end of the day, you want to call up to this person and you want to get to the bottom of, why do you need to sell? Some of the questions that I'm about to show you here, right? Identify the pain. See if you can solve the problem. But right up front, when you get on the phone with somebody you don't know, all of us, you and I included, we have those natural defenses that go up. All right? And so what that script is designed to do is to try and dismantle some or all of those natural defenses that go up, so that now you can just talk one person to another. Okay? So that's really what sets the stage. Now, talked about this early on the very first slide. The conversation now has got to shift to them. Okay? So I'm going to throw a bunch of questions on here that we like to use. I don't know that there's a whole lot right or wrong, although at the end of the day, you want to discover, why are they looking to sell? Why do they need to sell? What's the pain? What's the pain involved, right? Can you come in and solve that pain or help solve it, help alleviate the stress, that kind of thing? And so these are just, pretty basic questions. None of this is going to be rocket science. I told you that up front. But now we're going to move into sort of phase 2 of the conversation. We've already set the stage. We've been honest and upfront about who we are, what we do, why we do it, how we do it. And we promised to make them a fair offer. All right? So now we're just one person talking to another. So let me ask you, Tim, why do you need to sell? What has you thinking that you need to get this property off your hands? Okay? So again, you don't have to follow these exactly, but this is where some of the script now moves into that first part. We use it in a really structured sense. The rest of this comes up through conversation. Okay, so we really like and use that order that I just went over. That's how we've done it. That's how Rob does it, or has done it for the past decade plus. This now moves into the conversation. These are more questions that you need to be aware of to try and work into that conversation, so that you can see if you can uncover their need or their motivation to sell, and then what is that motivation level? Because at the end of the day, you're going to get on the phone with people who are just kind of kicking the tires. They saw your postcard that you sent out or your online ad that said you're buying houses, whatever the case, and they're just, they've got nothing else to do, and they say, yeah, I wonder what they'd give me for mine. So, right, you're going to find the tire kickers, which is fine. That's why we want to work in these questions so that you can, hopefully quickly and efficiently sort out whether the person on the other end is motivated or not to sell their property. The bigger the motivation, pretty obvious statement here, but the bigger the motivation, the more likely it is that you can get a good price for the house, right? So why do you need to sell? Number of different ways to ask it. Bottom line is you want to figure out what has them looking to get rid of the property, right? Then we kind of press in a little bit. What issues is still owning this property causing? And you'll hear all sorts of answers, right? There's no possible way to predict what people are going to say. Sometimes it's maybe you're in a probate situation and their parents just passed away and left them the house, and there are just too many memories there. They've just got to get rid of it. Sometimes out of a probate, people were left a house that's full of stuff, and so the thought of cleaning it out is just completely overwhelming. Or the house is distressed. They have no idea what to do with it, right? These are very real world problems that people get handed. Sometimes people, it's as simple as they just need to move or they're relocating, right? I mean, the reasons out there are a million of them. What we want to discover is what is that reason, and then if it seems legit, if somebody tells you, I'm just kind of kicking the tires, I wanted to see what you give me for the place. Well, there's not really a reason there, right? So that's when you're going to have to decide, is this conversation even worth it? Or, do you just say, hey, it doesn't sound like you're real motivated. If that ever changes, here's my number, and you can follow up with me. I'd be happy to make you offer. However you want to handle that, right? You'll have to gauge that. Some of this is, this isn't a science. This is an art, where you've just got to kind of feel out the situation on the phone. But here we go. So now we're going to press into, once we know why they're going to need to sell, right? Push into that a little bit. What kind of issues or problems is it causing in your life right now that you still own this property, right? See if they can go a little bit deeper and uncover some of the pain or some of the cause that's what's going on, right? So Tim, in a perfect scenario, right? Sounds like you need to get out from under this thing. Are you looking to sell this thing in the next, 2 to 4 weeks, or is this something that that you're looking to sell maybe 3 to 6 months down the road? However you want to word that. Either you throw out a couple time frames, a couple options, or you can go in and say, wow, it really sounds like this is an urgent issue. Am I correct in assuming that you'd like to be out of this property and have it sold within the next 30 days? Is that fair based on what you're telling me? Right. So this is where you're obviously I'm not going to have every possible question on the board here, but on the slides. But this is where you want to get a time frame. Again, this goes back to that motivation piece. What you're trying to discover through good questions is what is their reason for selling and how motivated are they to get rid of this thing. All right? How quickly do you need this thing gone? And then they're going to give you a time frame, right? So if we could get you out from under this thing in the next 30 days, does that, does that just make Christmas better? Right? Does that free up a lot of stress for you as springtime rolls around? See if you can, right? And this really, people, at the end of the day, this is just kind of sales 101. I know a lot of people say, I don't want to be in sales. I don't. Right? At the end of the day, you can't go through life without being in sales, right? My wife and I have little kids, and we're trying to sell them every night at dinner why they need to eat dinner, right? Why you need to eat vegetables. So I'm kind of chuckling over here, but right, those of you with kids, you know that to be true. So you go out and you see a new movie and you want to see somebody else to watch it, and so we go into sales mode and you convince them on why this movie is the best thing ever. You go to a restaurant, we do the same thing. We call it, right? So you can call it whatever you want. At the end of the day, that's sales, right? You call it, you go out to a great restaurant, it happened to me a couple weeks ago, and then I'm just telling people why they need to go. I'm trying to sell them on why they should go and enjoy this experience. So just come to terms with it, right? We're going to buy and sell houses, and so there's a sales component. But sales, when it's done right, It's not the used car salesman type thing that has the stereotype to it. It's not sleazy, right? Sales done right is a conversation where we as investors try and unpack what is the issue that this property is causing, what is the pain, right? A lot of times these are legitimate problems that properties can cause. And so can we come to the table with a win-win solution, right? Where we help them solve their problem, we get a good deal in the process. There's nothing sleazy about that, right? That's called helping the world. That's called helping another human being that has a legitimate need, okay? So I think it's just some, if some of you are putting up, I just bring that little side note up. If some of you are hesitant about this, or I promised myself I'd never be in sales, whatever the case, you just have to reframe what it looks like. Sales done right is finding a win-win for everybody involved, and that is called helping people, right? Some of you have maybe gotten a letter from somebody where you bought a house. Rob over the years has received quite a few. I've got a couple myself where somebody had to sell, and we came in as an investor and solved their problem. He sold a house to a lady. He really likes telling the story. She sent him a Christmas card for the next 10 or 12 years until he passed away. But she had a legitimate need. She had to get rid of the house. She needed to get some money out of it for living expenses. I think she was in her late 70s, early 80s. I can't remember exactly. But Rob came in, structured a deal, got her taken care of. He got a great house. He bought a great property that he made money on. She got the solution that she needed. He created the win-win, and he did it so much so that for the next decade, she sent him a Christmas card, right? That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That's sales done right, right? So here's a really cool question, and this is one that you want to know the answer to. Which would you say is more important? Selling the property quickly or getting a higher price? Again, this is a really great question for, again, it's them focused, right? After you set up who you are, what you do, why you do it, how you do it, this is where I told you the conversation goes to them. Their issue is what matters. The solution to their problem is what matters, right? This is where we shift our focus. We got sort of our stuff on the table to lower their defenses. Now we're talking about them. So again, we're trying to figure out exactly what is the motivation and how motivated are they, right? What's more important to you? You trying to get rid of this thing as quickly as possible, or are you trying to get, the highest price? And people don't assume one way or the other. Even at this point in the conversation where people have shared some of their life, some of the problems, and some of the issues that, that they're experiencing and what's going on, don't assume that you know the answer to this question. So this is a great one to work into the mix, all right? Is there a specific price you're looking for that solves the problems you just told me about? So we don't always ask this question, but sometimes we do, and I'll give you an example. For instance, this lady that Rob was that he bought this deal from, she needed some monthly cash flow. She needed to get out of her single-family house, move into an assisted living, and she wanted monthly cash flow of, I can't remember the amount. He knows all the details because he put it together. But he structured a little terms deal with her where he took over ownership of the property. He gave her like $2,500 at closing for whatever she had to pay something back or whatever the case was, and then she was trying to make X amount per month. And so Rob structured a little terms deal where she walked away from closing with a check. She was paid monthly based on rents. Rob was now the new owner. He just took it over, ownership of the property, rented it out. He made cash flow on his end. He paid her the monthly amount that she was looking for and created a win-win situation. So sometimes, so that was like a terms offer. Sometimes people just say they've got a house sitting there, right? And they say, hey, I owe my brother $55,000 from years ago. He bailed me out. It's been 15 years. I've never paid him back. I just want to sell this house, pay him off. He took care of me back then, and I just want to square up the balance. And so they come right at you and say, I need $55,000 out of this thing. Not always, but sometimes that may be in a neighborhood where you could pay $70,000 or $75,000 for this house and still have it be a good deal. You just never know. So this is a great question to get this on the table. Is there a specific price you're looking for that solves the problem you just told me about, right? You're not always going to get a specific number out of them, but sometimes you will. So it's a great question to have on standby. All right. Now, so we've gone into sort of phase 2. Phase 3, is going to be the offer. We got to make an offer. We promised them up front we'd make them a fair offer. Now, do we always? No. If they're not motivated, a lot of those conversations just go away, right? But if you've got somebody on the phone that's legitimately motivated, they have a real problem that they need solved, we want to make an offer. That's the goal. The goal of talking to sellers is to make an offer. The ultimate goal, obviously, is to have them accept it and close on the deal, but making an offer is the next step. So we're going to start moving into phase 3. Prep them for the offer. So, assuming, and most likely you haven't seen the house yet, but great, let me ask you a few questions about the property. So Tim, how much work would you say the property would need to get it fully fixed up? It's a pretty vague question, but again, ask the question and then go silent and see what they say. And then this is the follow-up question we always go with, because their tendency, and again, this is a human nature thing, their tendency is going to be to come in low, to estimate low. And so we always follow up with, he comes back and says, oh, about 12 grand, about 12 grand. Now, Tim, does that assume that I'm doing the work and swinging the hammer, or is that price accurate for me hiring out a contractor and a crew to do all the work? So what you just did by asking that question is you just basically, you just subconsciously said that you think their number's low, because I'm not a contractor, Tim, so I definitely have to hire it out. So that $12,000 you bring up, is that with me doing the work myself, or is that with me hiring a crew to come in and take care of it and to get the house fixed up, right? So you just implied in a very nice way through a question that number's probably low, okay? Then we like to go into this one. When was the roof last replaced? So now we're going to go over, we're not going to get into the weeds and all the details of a fix-up, but what we're trying to do is to get them to come to realistic terms with the condition of the house. Now, the roof may have been done, 2 years ago with a 30-year warranty. If that's the case, here's the thing. That's really good for you to know, and you could potentially pay a higher amount, right? Because a roof, $5,000 to $10,000 for a roof, depending on what size the property is. So that's a legitimate expense that if you buy the property, that you don't have to take care of because it's done. So it's good if you want to know the answer to the question. If the roof hasn't been updated in the last 40 years, then it further subconsciously lets them know that this place needs a lot of work, right? As we're moving towards the offer. But if it has been updated, you want to know about it. So it's a great question to ask. Here's the next one. Have the major systems in the property been updated in the last 15 years, like plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and the water heater? Any updates or upgrades made to the major systems? So again, we're not talking about how's the drywall, how are the faucets, how are the light fixtures. We're not going there. We're staying with the major systems, and they'll give you your answer. Right now, some places are on septic, I get it, but basically the point of the question here is, if you don't know, you can ask. Is this particular property on a sewer line, septic system, whatever the case, right? Pretty common, they were putting clay piping 40, 50 years ago. If there's a tree anywhere near, or bushes or anything like that, right, or any kind of movement or settling in the ground, that sewer line is cracked, has root penetration, all that kind of stuff. So sewer lines, for those of you who have done flips before, they can be very expensive, right, to dig up and replace. So I always like to get this question out. Do you know if the sewer line is cracked at all or full of roots? What condition basically is that major system in? Joe, if I can make you an offer today that fits your needs, are you prepared to finalize a deal? So again, you haven't made an offer, but you just want to get an idea for their mindset. Are they ready to, right? If I can bring a fair offer to the table that we can both agree on, are you ready to sign this thing today? Or is it, are you ready to get this done today? So again, you haven't made the offer yet. This is just like a feeler type question, okay? To see where they're at. Where are they at in their mindset? Are they ready to take action or are they not? And then this is a really key question, right? Is there anyone else who would need to be a part of you making that decision? So you can be on the phone with somebody for 20, 30 minutes and get to the end and make an offer and they say, "Ooh, yeah, I own this house with, a spouse or somebody else, me and my 3 other siblings own it, and you realize that you just went through all that and you don't have the final decision maker on the table. So as you're starting to sort of prep for this offer, that's a great question, right? Is there anybody else who would need to be part of making that final decision? And then, this is what the sales world calls like a tie down. Assuming we can agree to a number, when would you ideally like the sale to take place? So it makes an assumption that you're going to come to an agreement. And so it moves them mentally one step forward. But again, this is a very simple question to ask, right? Assuming we can agree to a number today, in a perfect world, when would you like the sale to take place so that this thing's off your hands? So again, we're just trying to feel out how serious are they? What's the motivation? Are they the person that can make the decision? And if so, are they prepared to take action? Okay? Again, we haven't made the offer yet. This is just in preparation for it. But these are key questions to ask so that you don't just come out of the gate and hit somebody with, hey, you don't know me, but my name is Mike Snyder and I can pay $55,000 for your house. How's that sound? Well, there's no rapport there. There's no level of trust. You have no idea why they want to sell it, right? You're just the greedy investor trying to come in and give a low offer that they don't understand that I'm really, a dad trying to put food on the table and take care of my family. They don't know any of that yet. So again, we set it up right. We move into the middle, phase 2, where we're figuring out what's their motivation, what's their motivation level, what's their reason they need to sell. And then we start moving into phase 3 here, where we're going to prep them for an offer, right? So again, don't write all these down. Come back to the recording, and you can take notes. So here we go. On that first call. Now, if you're in a new area, you don't know the property, that kind of thing, you're probably not making an offer on that first call. On the flip side, if you do know the area well and you've bought 3 other houses, and this is the same floor plan, and you know the location and you know the neighborhood, right? There are certain neighborhoods in Denver where I've flipped a lot of houses and I don't need to go down and see it, right? You tell me on the phone, hey, this is down by DU and here's what it is, and it's a brick ranch and it's got a full basement, yada yada yada, and I automatically, right before the phone call even takes place, I already know about what I can pay for it. Okay, so again, there isn't a right or a wrong way. If you know the area and you can make an offer on this initial call, fire it up and make it. Not always the case, okay? If you don't know and you need to do some research, right? You've got all this on the table. They've said, yep, I can make a decision today if we can come to terms. You say, great, I'll tell you what. Give me about 15 minutes. Let me run a couple numbers with our team. Or, if you're working solo, let me run a few numbers. And I'll call you right back at this number. Will you be available? Great. Now, you've got somebody, this is right. This is worth putting. Now you're going to go run the numbers, do the due diligence, because you only make this statement if, yes, they're motivated. Yes, they're the person that can make the decision, right? If they're not, you want to get the person who can make the decision involved in this conversation. Okay? Let me side note. If somebody tells you that they say, no, I'd have to have my spouse involved, you say, okay, I tell you what. When is there a good time when all 3 of us can jump on the phone and talk this through? Because here's the thing. You want the spouse to hear who you are, what you do, why you do it, how you do it. If you don't go through the process with both people, you're going to talk to one person. They're going to trust you because you've built rapport, but they're going to try and sell you to the other person and why you do what you do, and it's never as effective. All right? So, little side note. If you discover through your conversation that somebody else needs to be involved to make the decision, my recommendation, now you can go through the rest of the call if you want. A lot of times it's to no avail. My recommendation is stop the call right there and say, when can all of us get on the phone? Because you will be able to talk about you and your situation and why you do it better than they will to the other person. All right? Little side note. So if you need some time, tell you what, Tim, give me 15 minutes. Let me run a couple numbers, do a little due diligence, and I'll call you right back. Okay? Will that work? Will you be available? Great. Now, I want either use ours or I want you to script out how you deliver the offer, right? You're not just gonna come in and say my offer is $53,000, right? I want you to frame it. So Hey Tim, I appreciate it. Just looked over the property, ran a couple numbers, based on our conversation, what you told me the property works, yada, yada, yada. I can pay X amount. I can pay all cash, and I can close inside of 30 days like you had told me would be ideal. Does that work for you? Okay, so the point is here, either copy this or something similar, but when you deliver the offer, I want you to have it scripted out. And then I really like the question. There are other forms, but does that work for you? And then here's the key. It's down there in parentheses, right? This is one of those points in the phone call where it'll create a little bit of tension. Not much. Not something to shy away from. But you are going to ask the question, does that work? And you are not going to be the next person to speak. If you sit there for 20 seconds on the phone, do not talk. Right? I'm going beyond script training in here into sales training. Do not say a word until they talk. All right? Ask the question, does that work for you? You're looking for an answer. Now, if you want to phrase this, I told you I'd make you a fair offer. I looked at other similar properties in the area based on some of the work that you told me the property needs. And in our business model, I could pay $52,500 today, or within, inside the next 30 days, all cash, and have this thing closed up and wrapped up for you, by the end of by the end of the month. Does that work for you? Okay? So you're going to package it up. If you want to reiterate that I told you I'd make you a fair offer based on the other numbers, the data that I've found, here's what I can pay. All right? So I want this to be scripted. Either work off ours right here or write out your own. But the way you deliver this is key. And so it needs to happen in a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Needs to happen in a similar fashion, and then ask, does that work for you? And then don't talk. All right? Now, don't worry if you don't have that written down. I'm going to show you how to automate this process, right? Let's see what time am I working with. I've got about 13 minutes. So if you have some questions, I'll try and field all those. I'm going to go into FreedomSoft real quick. And I'm going to show you how we can use custom fields to script this whole thing out. It's very, very simple to do. Terrence, hang on, let me read this question. Is there a better way to get to the pain? The answer to why do you need to sell is always generic. It seems you need a PhD in psychology to get the real. Yeah, Terrence, a lot of different ways to ask that question, right? The bottom line is, here's the point I was trying to make. You've got to figure out if there is a real pain, if there is a real problem, if there's a real issue. So however you want to do that. I don't know if it takes a PhD in psychology, but yeah, some of the questions around, what kind of problems is it causing for you and your family that you still own this place? And just based on what they say, try and dig in with 2 or 3 more questions. See if you can really get them to admit how painful owning the property really is. Again, the bigger that pain is, the more likely they are to negotiate with you. So good question. So this is very, very simple to do. I'm just going to show you a couple examples, but when you're logged in, you'll go to your name here at the top, click on Settings. Very simple, and then you're going to come down here on the left-hand side to Custom Fields, right there, okay? Now what we can do is we're going to create some custom fields for this top box here, for leads, properties, and projects, because we're primarily talking about working with a lead today. We don't have this thing under contract yet, so it's not a property. So again, we're going to click on this top box right here. So again, I went to your name at the top, Settings, Custom Fields, and then Leads, Properties, Projects. Now, we can come right in here and build in our script and all of our questions into custom fields, okay? This is really, really simple to do, but the reason this is so powerful is because you've got either you are talking to a lead live on the phone, so you pull up their lead record in your FreedomSoft account, or your VA or somebody on your team is live on the phone, and even if that person is new, right, they say, I don't know what to say. Well, you just click into the lead record. And now with custom fields, you know exactly what to say. Even if you're experienced, sometimes you'll hang up the phone and you'll think, oh shoot, I forgot to ask about X, Y, and Z, okay? So don't memorize it. build a system that works. Okay. Mary just said, this is the best script I have heard, and I feel better asking these questions being open and I'm not hiding anything. Mary, yeah, first of all, thank you for the feedback about the best script, and that's absolutely the case. If you had any hesitation about talking to sellers, what I've found when training people on this script is that it really alleviates it, because you don't go in, like you just said, you're not hiding anything. Susan just agreed, said yes, absolutely. Great, I'm glad this is valuable. So let me show you how to automate it. So you're going to come in here and you're simply going to click Add Custom Field. And when you do that, it's going to pull up this little box, and your field label becomes the question, right? So, my name is Mike and I'm a real estate investor. I'm not going to type out every word because you're going to get the idea, right? And I click Add New Custom Field. Now, it's going to put this box up here, but so what? My name's Mike and I'm a real estate investor, okay? Add the next part of the script. I buy houses. Whoops, can't type here. I buy houses just like yours. Okay? And you get your script. What I like to do now, I came into my account and deleted it all so I can show you how to do this training. I like to get the script, that opening script, down the left-hand side. And then I come over here on the right-hand side and I go into phase 2, right? Why do you need to sell? And as Terrence brought up, there's maybe a better way to ask that question. That's okay, however you want to ask it. So why do you need to get rid of this property, okay? And then you come down to the next one. I like to put this one in there. Motivation level with a question mark. And then what I do is I make this a custom drop down. So watch this. Motivation level, custom drop down. So here it is. Then I can click on this wheel to customize these drop downs. And so when I click in it, we like to put in the motivation level is high. Motivation level is medium. Motivation level is low. And I like to put one more in there that says not motivated now. And I click Save Changes. Now when I'm actually live inside the lead and I click on this motivation level drop down, those 4 options are going to drop down. So based on the questions that I'm asking, I'm going to assess high, medium, or low. Obviously, we want to talk to the people that are high, right? So you see how this works. This is so simple to do. You build out, like I said, I like that initial script, those 5 statements that you make down the left-hand side here, so that you can just go top to bottom and get them on the, get them into the conversation. Again, that most often happens in the first 60 seconds. Then we come right over, whether it's you or your VA or team member that's on the phone, you come right over here to the right side and you start to identify the pain, right? How big is the pain, right? We had a question in there, are you the primary decision maker or is there somebody else who needs to be involved? So we put that question as a custom field and then we put a text box next to it. So if there is somebody else, we can type in the answer, right? So now we know their reason, we know their motivation level, are they the decision maker? We go through all those questions. So feel free to use all the ones that I brought up here on the slides today, and then also anything else that you can think of. And you come in here and you build out your custom field, okay? Save your changes. Now, any lead that you go into, looks like I'm on a slow internet connection here today. Any lead that you go into, and you open that lead up and you're live on the phone. Here's your script. Hey, my name's Mike. I'm a real estate investor. Listen, here's the thing. I buy houses just like yours. Bam, bam, bam. You go right down. You get on the table. Come right over here into phase 2. And then I like to go back, maybe even a different section. You can create a different section on that custom fields page for your offer. If you want to script out sort of those setup questions. Hey, if we can, if I can make you a fair offer today that you agree to, are you prepared to get this thing under contract with me today, right? Whatever those little tie-down questions are, script them out. They never get forgotten, and things never get missed, all right? Whether it's you on the phone or anybody on your team. This is how you build a systems-dependent business, not a people-dependent business. So tying this all together, right back to one of the very first things I said today, is people are going to come and go. If your system's relying on people, then it's just a matter of time before there's a personnel change and the whole business comes unglued. That's not what we want to build. We want to build a business that is systems dependent. Does anybody have any questions about that? We are down to 5 minutes, so I want to see if any questions come in. Howie, I'm not sure what that means. Sue West. Anyway, if you care to elaborate, and if that's a question, I'll try and answer it for you if anything else comes in. If I don't see any questions, sweet. Not so West. That's funny. Okay, Howie was just saying sweet. He just wrote it out. That's funny. Yeah, Sharon, you're welcome. Sharon said, great presentation about building a sustainable business through systems. Thank you. You are very welcome, Sharon. I see you on here all the time, so thank you for being a part of this. Will there be a link? Yep. Rico, there is, when you log into FreedomSoft and you go over to the far right tab to Classroom, and there's an entire section called FreedomSoft Lab, L-A-B, just like a science lab. I will get this. This is being recorded. Every lab gets recorded each week. A little tongue-tied there, and I'll post it up hopefully by tomorrow. Tomic, you're very welcome. You're welcome, everybody. Hey, so I haven't talked about success teams on Lab before, but I've been getting the question recently. Hey, does Rob do coaching of any kind? What does that look like? Yada yada. So here's what I want you to do. We do. They're called success teams. Here's what's cool about it. We actually go in and work alongside Rob's operation, our operation, in the same market. Okay. Goal is to create cash and then cash flow, the step-by-step process. But what's unique about it is you come into markets where we currently are. Okay. So I'm not going to throw a big pitch in here, but we have some people out there. I've talked to some of you, and we get this question frequently. What does it look like? So here's what I want you to do. If this is at all interesting or intriguing to you, what we do with our success teams, throw your phone number into the questions box for me, and I'll jot those down, and we'll reach out to you either this afternoon or tomorrow and have a quick conversation about what it looks like. All right? So again, that's the cool part about it. The feedback we get is, to come into the market or markets where we're actually working and to go side by side. That's what really opens people's eyes to how to set up this business, right? Step 1, create cash flow or cash. Step 2, create cash flow, and to work alongside our team here, Rob's team, the one that he has set up. So, yep, got some numbers coming in. So we will be in touch, everybody. I appreciate you coming out. Thank you for the feedback. I see your numbers, everybody, that they're coming in, so I will jot those down. Thank you all for being on today. Glad you got a lot of good information out of our lab. And if your number's coming in, we will be in touch with you here over the next couple days. Everybody make it a great afternoon. Have a great day. Have a good week. And we'll see you on lab next Thursday. All right? Take care, everybody. Thanks for being on. If your number is coming in, we will reach out to you here over the next couple days. Appreciate it, everyone. Take care.